Hey everybody, this is Rebecca Olkowski with babyboomster.com, and today I am interviewing somebody who has written a book that is quite intriguing. Her name is Susan Shapiro Barash, and she's an American author of 13 nonfiction women's issue books, including Tripping That Prom Queen, Toxic Friends, and You're Grounded Forever. But first, let's go shopping. I love that title. She writes fiction under her pen name, Susanna Marin, and her novels are Between the Tides, A Palm Beach Wife, and Palm Beach Scandal. And her books focus on the gender divide, how women are positioned in our society, and their innermost feelings about themselves as daughters, mothers, sisters, friends, wives, mothers-in-law, daughters-in-law, rivals, colleagues, and lovers. I really got the gamut there. And she's written a new book called A Passion for More, Affairs That Make or Break Us. So we're going to talk a little bit about women having affairs in their marriage, which is going to be really interesting. So thank you so much for coming on, Susan.
Thank you for having me.
So let me ask you, can you tell us a little bit about your book first? Just kind of give us a little overview of it.
Yes, this is a nonfiction book, as you said, and it's a study, anonymous interviews with women all across the country, different ages, social strata, ethnicity, race, religion, level of education, from sophisticated cities, suburbs to rural areas, about how they feel in their marriages and longstanding monogamous relationships, and why these convention-bound women would embark on an extramarital affair.
Yeah, I mean, I know people do it for sure. So how do women balance husbands, partners, children's jobs, and a lover at the same time?
Well, that's a really good question, because we know that women are very busy today, busier than ever before, and that we have these very demanding lives and schedules, but women are very good at keeping the affair a secret and very good at finding time to be with the lover. And these affairs include cyberspace affairs, many virtual affairs during the time of COVID, and workplace affairs where the time is, during the work hours. So, it's not only just meeting someone at a hotel, but affairs of the mind and some cyberspace affairs.
Right. Yeah, I know a lot of guys, they think that just because they're watching porn on their computers, that it's not actually an affair, but in a way it is. And I guess it's the same with women.
Well, the litmus test would be anything that is crossing the line is a form of a betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
And any interaction, if you're very emotionally connected to some man other than your longstanding partner or husband, well, then that's an affair.
Right. And I guess it happens at all ages too, right? I mean,
yeah,
my audience is mostly over 50, so.
Well, that's really great, because, I started this study 30 years ago. A Passion for More was my first book that ever came out with St. Martin's when I was very young. And I've kept the research going. I'm a gender professor. For many years, I taught gender studies in the writing department at Marymount Manhattan College. And so this anecdotal qualitative research has gone on for many years. And in my most recent research, what was so striking was how many women between the ages of their early 20s to their 80s were having affairs.
Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting.
So interesting. And I'm really I'm dubbing it the gray affair, because we know about the gray divorce, but there's also the gray affair. So that's really what my study showed me.
Wow. And how do you feel that affairs empower women?
This is really a choice. It's not for everyone, although I believe, based on my ongoing research, that 70% of women, a diverse group of women, will embark on some sort of affair at some point during their marriages or committed relationships. But what's really striking is how these women end up feeling about the lover. And so many of the women told me that it was really a very personal journey for them. It's empowering because they're finding something that they don't have in this primary relationship. And I think almost 80%, like 78% of the women said that the lover and the husband are opposite. So, or the longstanding partner. So no one's looking to repeat what they have. They're looking for what they don't have.
Right.
And that itself is empowering them. And the other part of what makes it empowering is the idea that women, while it's exactly equal pay for equal work yet, women are really having much more chances, opportunities to earn money. And so they can operate as men have historically operated in our culture, which is you go on a trip, you want a boy toy, you want to have fun for the night. So, that's happening as well.
That makes sense. That makes total sense. What would you say the percentage of women are actually sex driven or actually go all the way and actually have a real affair rather than just kind of an affair in their mind?
Well, I want to say that an affair of the mind or an emotional affair or cyberspace affair, those really play with your status quo. It's not like having this relationship is just sort of a side thing. Women say it's very primary, even if it isn't happening in real time in, some gorgeous hotel room. So I do want to say that again, I had mentioned that before, but the reason I have the 4 kinds of affairs in my study is because they're almost in equal parts. So we spoke about empowering affairs. There are the sex-driven affairs, which are pretty self-explanatory. Women are operating as men have always operated. These women say, women of all ages, many women over 50 or 60 are saying, I don't want anything but the sex. The sex is what's missing. And if this man wants to get emotionally involved with me, I move on. So that's what they're doing with the sex-driven affairs. Now, the love affairs are a very different story. And those are probably the most poignant of all of my interviews, because these women are happy enough. And then they go back to a high school reunion. They go back to their old workplace and see the guy they kind of liked. They go to a party with their husband or partner, and across the room is someone who is a thunderbolt. And then it's very triangulated, and everything really changes for them. Those are very intense. And then we have self-esteem affairs, which really apply to women of all ages. If your primary partner doesn't make you feel visible, appreciated, understood, and this lover does, well, then that's why the lover's in your life.
And how can you tell if somebody is having an affair? Like, what are the telltale signs?
Women often care much more about their appearance. So they'll lose weight or change their hair color or go shopping. Also, because our cell phones being really private phones, they have so much access to this lover in a way that people didn't have years ago. And so if like you're on your cell phone in a corner of the house or the apartment, or suddenly your time isn't accounted for. And then women go to the gym much more once they meet a lover. So, these are all the telltale signs, or they seem to not be available in the same way. But as I said earlier, women are really facile at keeping it a secret. So they remain good wives, good mothers, good grandmothers, good lovers.
Right. It seems like it would be easier when you're on your phone to hide it, because people could check your text messages or something when you're not looking. Do they have ways of hiding it? Do you know?
Yeah, some women got a second phone, not known to their husbands, which I thought was interesting. And some women only texted very cryptic texts as if it looked like a work message. But I did talk to people about that. Again, women of all ages.
What does the lover offer that the husband may not?
Whatever the husband isn't offering, the lover is providing. So if your husband is very intellectual, your lover might be a bodybuilder. If your husband or longstanding partner is a painter, like house painter, then the other man is very cerebral. So one could be very intense, one could be very low key, looking for what isn't in that real relationship that has existed for a long time.
Yeah, I could see that, just kind of looking for the opposite in a way, or maybe somebody who's
No,
more steady than, if you're with somebody that isn't providing so much of a steady environment for you, trying to find that security maybe in some way.
exactly. That's what's happening, is where there's a dearth of emotional or physical attention, the lover provides it. And no matter what kind of affair, the women are really talking about being understood and heard and recognized, and they feel special, and it really matters to them.
Right. And can an affair be the catalyst to leaving a marriage?
It really can. And although, like, only 35% of the women in my study end up with their lover. The lover is often a wake-up call to understand what you have and don't have in a relationship, and also who you've become. Who are you in this affair? And that's what I meant by a personal journey for women. You sort of look at yourself realistically and with some forgiveness with a lover in your life. And that's what the women are saying to me, that, this lover showed me what I'm about. I understood myself better.
Right. Yeah. Women who end up with their lovers, do you think that they find that they might have made a mistake?
I've heard some regret. What really happens is, if you marry your lover, there's now a void where you've had a lover, and now you have a husband. So apples and oranges, husbands and lovers and oranges. I mean, I haven't interviewed anyone who's talking about a mortgage payment or a broken garage door with her lover until he becomes her husband.
Right. And you probably find out things about them that, if you do go with a lover, that you didn't realize, because you're kind of in a trance when you're with them. You see some of the dark parts.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he had an affair in the first place. Yeah.
Right. Day-to-day life is, very different from stolen time that's romantic and romanticized, because that's how women look at it. And the other thing is that you never really know someone until you're with them much more than with the lover. So, women talk about that.
Well, it's like when you fall in love with somebody, maybe even as a young girl or whatever, you do become hypnotized by it in a way.
The real stuff.
The reality comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I also think that for women of any age, that romantic love is so coveted and so really revered that it's very hard to give up the hope that it can still happen in your life. And so women talk about that too, that, the way that they feel with the lover is really something that's very compelling.
Is there a secret world of women who have lovers? Is there like some sort of support network or something that women can find?
Some of my interviewees have said to me that they could actually be at a function and know the other unfaithful women in the room. Just a sense of it, or watching them, or maybe the lover's actually there. Often the wife often knows the lover socially, which is really interesting, a little sticky. And so there are times when it can be sort of sensed. And so, yeah, there is a kind of secret world. And then who do you confide in? Who do you tell? Young women tell their mothers. Older women don't even want to share it with a friend all the time, because some of their friends are widowed or divorced or single. And here they are with a husband or a longstanding partner and a lover. So who wants to churn up the jealousy? And then in terms of the lover and going with the lover, a lot of women spoke of the aspect of trust in the relationship. Because if you've cheated for, will you cheat on?
Right. I think the difference too would be, as you get older, you might have children that you want to prevent from ever hearing about it, parents or whatever.
Yeah, there's so much about it that doesn't fit tidily into the societal construct. That's for sure. And if you have children who are over 18 and they hear about the affair, I interviewed one woman where she told me she had I think 3 daughters. And she said, one daughter said, of course you're having an affair. It's been horrible with dad. And the other 2 were like, how could you do this to us? To us? You know, then the interviewee said, well, what about me? But, you know, that goes back to how women feel. You know, what about what they yearn for and how it really fits into what's expected of them? You know, the good girl syndrome.
Right. Well, I know in my demographic, over 50, or mainly baby boomers, I'm in my 60s, you know, we kind of grew up with this sort of free love mentality when we were young also. And as you mentioned, you know, women are going to work and they're in a whole different environment. So how do you see how affairs today differ from those of the past?
The sense of entitlement, the 90% of women who felt really no remorse or regret and were able to separate out the affair from other parts of their lives is striking. And the idea that women over 50 and boomers still have this yearning, as I said, what I'm calling the gray affair. And, you know, that's what I'm labeling it. There is this ascension of divorce among women over 60. 73% of the divorces lately have been generated by, I'm sorry, 73% of third marriages fail. And of those, I think it's 70% of those divorces, and all divorces in America, are precipitated by the women.
Wow.
So this is a really interesting statistic in terms of how satisfied or dissatisfied women are.
Wow. This is fascinating. It really is. Can you tell our viewers where they can get your book and visit you online?
Yeah, thank you. Sure. So A Passion for More, Affairs That Make or Break Us can be ordered on Amazon, or you can go into your indie bookstore and they'll order it. And of course, go to my website, which is susanshapirobarash.com, or follow me on Instagram, which is Susan Barash. And I also wanted to say that on February 14th, there will be an iHeart podcast based on, you know, inspired by this book. And it's called She Wants More.
Oh, I love that. I really do.
So that would be great. So tune in for that.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm definitely going to put the link to your contact information on my website, babyboomster.com, when I write a post about it, and also in a YouTube video. So
wonderful.
It'll be in both places. So
it's so good to meet you.
It's great to meet you too. It's a really interesting topic, and I know that it's something that some women don't want to talk about, but it's, you know, it's there. It's really
happening. And that's why I said that the emotional affairs and the, you know, virtual affairs really count too, because it's all about the same thing, getting what you need beyond the relationship that you have.
Right. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.